Hey there, welcome back. Today we are talking about The Hobbit. And if you're like me, I have not read the Lord of the Rings books before. I've seen the movies. That was a long time ago, and I saw this movie when it first came out, just the first part. So I had no idea what was going on in this story and how it ends. So I saw this book laying around, thought, let's give it a try. Now, as I was reading this, I was a bit disappointed. The story, it just felt so simple and a bit silly at times and childish. And so I'm reading this thinking, it's like, man, how am I going to review this? I don't have any good things to say about what's going on in this book. And it's very short, like 300 pages, and it's still, I struggled some days to even read 20 or 30 pages of it. And so I thought, man, I don't know how I'm going to review this. But then I took a look at a little bit of the story behind this book and saw that the reason he wrote it was for his children, Tolkien's kids. He wanted a story to entertain them. And then once I learned that, I was like, oh, okay. That makes things make a lot more sense and will take a lot of the bite out of my comments that I have about this story. So let's start with the no spoilers part. We'll do spoilers later, but first, no spoilers. What's the book about? And I'm going to assume you have some knowledge about this world and the characters, seeing as the movies and the books have been around forever. So The Hobbit is about a hobbit named Bilbo. And one day, Gandalf, the wizard, shows up at his house, and then along come a pack of dwarves. And they say, Bilbo, you're going to accompany them on their adventure. And Bilbo's like, nah, I don't think so. And he's like, yeah, you're going to go with them. He's like, no, I really don't want to. And before you know it, he's running right off with them. And so they're off, the dwarves are, to reclaim their gold, their treasure, and their home from a dragon. So you're like, all right, here we go. We're off to slay a dragon. Now, when it comes to the problems they run into, it gets a bit repetitive. They're meeting up with goblins and spiders and wolves. And when I say repetitive, it's like they'll get captured, then they escaped. They get separated. Oh, they come back together. They get captured again. Oh, they get back together. No worries. And so it's kind of like the same thing happening, just with different, things chasing them, goblins or the elves or something. And, some of the time, the ways they get out of these predicaments, it's just like by sheer luck or coincidence, or Gandalf just shows up and boom, let's keep going. And so, yeah, this book, it's missing a lot of weight to it, to really make you, care about what's going on, or at least feel the tension. Like, oh my goodness, how are they going to get out of this? Because even some of the creatures they come across, like the goblins are talking, and they themselves sound a bit silly. The spiders feel silly. Again, it's written for kids, so you can kind of understand that. But as an adult reading it, it just kind of feels bland and silly. So as they go along, you got all this kind of repetitive stuff. There's no weight to it, and it just feels, for me, flat. Like I didn't really get too invested in the characters or their problems, because it just always felt that, something silly, or they're just going to get lucky and everything's going to be fine. So eventually they make it to their endpoint, make it to the dragon, and they have to figure out a way to get rid of it. So that's pretty much all it is. It's just walking, get to the dragon, let's get it away from our treasure. I found myself, when it comes to fantasy books, not being able to handle the ones that are silly. I tried reading that Discworld series. I read a couple of those books, and I just couldn't get into it. I don't know what it is with books. I can watch movies, about medieval or fantasy movies that are kind of funny or silly, but when it comes to the books, I don't know why I just can't. It doesn't click with me. And the thing that kept popping into my head when I was reading this were the Redwall books. Because if you read those are silly. You're dealing with animals, they're always liking to eat. Silly things happens with even the older ones, they're just being goofy. But even those books sometimes have some weight to them, the situations. There's gore, people die. In this one, I was never afraid that, oh no, what's gonna happen? We're gonna lose this person. I never felt like that. I just kept thinking, watch, Gandalf's just gonna show up. Poof, up there he is. Okay, everything's fine. Bilbo's gonna get lucky and step in this certain spot or say this certain thing or just happen to do this and poof, oh, everything's all right. And so, yeah, I just couldn't really get into it or feel very much. If you're a fantasy fan, but you're looking for something deep, this is not for you. If you like just a fun, lighthearted story, it might be for you. Now, let's get to the spoiler section. And with this one, we're just going to jump right to the end when they finally get to Smaug. And at this point, I've seen that the dwarves are pretty useless. It seems Bilbo or Gandalf is always saving them, or they're the ones always getting caught. So I'm wondering, by the time we get to the end point, it's like, all right, these dwarves are not going to stand a chance against this dragon. I guess Bilbo's going to have to, get lucky somehow. And you thought maybe they'd come up with a plan. They find out about that weak spot in its chest, and you think, okay, they're going to come up with some kind of plan to expose that spot and hit it, and that'll be the end of that. But no, we switch to this village, and this random guy who gets a message from a bird and says, hey, hit this spot right here. And he goes, what? Oh, I see it. Boink. And it's gone. You're like, what about Bilbo? The dwarves, I thought they were the heroes. Oh, no, we're just going to throw this guy in here and he's going to do all the heavy lifting. And it's like, he just kind of stole all the glory from our main characters we've been riding with. So that was really disappointing that they didn't even get their chance to shine. In fact, they just leave, don't even know what's going on. They walk 5 hours away and are just sitting around. It's like, what is happening? This is so strange. So yeah, that was really disappointing. You expect something to happen with the people we've been following around with Smaug, but no. Random guy, boom, gone, finished. Okay. So then we finished that, and then here comes the Battle of the Five Armies, which I believe, isn't that like the name of the second movie? So I'm like, okay, Battle of the Five Armies, but I'm looking and I'm like, there's only 20 pages left. How much is this going to go on here? And sure enough, the battle is like 7 or 8 pages. It's just going along, and then of course Bilbo hit on the head, and we don't even get to see the end of it. And it's just kind of like, all right, well, that was a big nothing too. So we didn't get, I felt like a good ending with the dragon. The big Battle of the Five Armies was gone like that, and now Bilbo wakes up and everything's over and is fine. So yeah, the end of the book was very anticlimactic for me, and I don't know, kind of goes along with, I guess, how I felt with the whole story up to that point. One thing I got to say though is I was disappointed that Gollum didn't pop back up. We get the part with him in the cave where Bilbo gets the ring, and I kept expecting at some point, if like Bilbo's by himself or he's on guard duty, that Gollum's gonna pop up. It's gonna turn out that he was following him the whole time, and he's gonna try to get the ring back. Towards the end there, where Bilbo snuck out, he had the Arkenstone. I was sure then, once he delivered it to the elves and he was going back, I'm like, okay, this is where Gollum's gonna pop up. We're gonna get one more chance, but no, he just comes in that one scene and then we see nothing of him ever again. So yeah, this was a tough one. Like I said, my version here, 300 pages. It should have taken me 3 days to read, but I was just struggling to care and really get invested in the story. Like I said, without any real weight to it, no fear of anything bad happening to anybody. It was just like, okay, all right, let's just keep going. Yep, here comes Gandalf. He's gonna save the day and run away again. And then, oh, yep, look at Bilbo got lucky and all the spiders are gone. Okay, so disappointing for sure, but hey, you never know till you try. Now I've read it and I will not be recommending it to anybody, so that's that. So the next book, let's get on with the other stuff. And actually I've already finished this one, Stephen King, The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. I started reading this immediately after I finished The Hobbit, and this one's about the same length, but I finished this one in less than 24 hours. this one actually kept me going along, with it. So next video will be this one coming out shortly. If you have not done so already, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.